Hi guys, my name's Subtutor. I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now, it's been a long time since I've actually done just a particularly kind of dating-focused video. I've done a lot on kind of relationships in general, but I feel like I kind of stepped away from relationships in terms of romance and more into general relationships, just because of what I was seeing around me and things that I was being reminded of, things that were coming up from people that I was talking to and things that I was dealing with, and so as a result, that's kind of where I wanted to go. But I want to get back to it because this is like dating is still one of these vast, kind of complex situations that is never explained, is never gone through. People aren't given like reasonable information a lot of the time, and a lot of the stuff that you're usually told by random people has an element of worth in it, but a lot of it just tends to be fluff, and or based purely on their experiences, and it doesn't really have a broad appreciation of kind of everything that's going on. And now, one of the things that comes up to me a lot that people ask me about, that I've been asked about even within the last couple of weeks, is kind of what to talk about on dates and awkward silences, because potentially getting to the kind of point of going on a date, depending on who you are, some people find that really easy, some people find that really hard, and I've kind of talked about some areas of that before, and I've talked about areas of awkward silence before as well, but I've apparently never done a video purely focused on how to avoid them and how to cope with them. So there's that one that I will be doing probably by the end of the week. You'll see that one. But the other thing that comes out to me is people don't know what to talk about. They get worried. And now there was a study that I saw a while ago. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it again through looking for it before starting to do this video. But ultimately, there was a study that came out and said that yeah, for the most part, interactions are on a date are mostly focused towards the lady. Rather unsurprisingly, it's kind of the case of whoever is going to potentially be more directive and dominant in the relationship to be there, demonstrating qualities that are potentially good for survival, things like compromise, things like looking to invest in them on their level, and that often involves a lot of more kind of social elements to it, you know and it's a bit wishy-washy. It's in certain places on how that all works still, because it's ongoing research in various ways, but as a result, the one of the things that I usually tell people to do is ask questions. Now, I tell people to ask questions anyway, but more specifically, when you get to these kind of situations and you're kind of at a loss for words, the conversation is starting to die out, or you just don't know what to say, then the thing to keep in mind is that you're there to enjoy your time and to learn about another person, simply put. And the place to engage with that person, so that the question isn't just yes or no and isn't just a kind of odd out of nowhere question, is look for points of commonality. Now, everyone has hopes and dreams, everyone enjoys holidays, everyone lives on the same planet, all those kind of things, in which case there are a few questions that you can kind of come back to fairly often that will, to one extent or another, help you on a first date, or on maybe second, third date where these questions haven't been asked yet, things like that. And so I've got, let's see, we've got maybe 4 or 5 questions here to go with. And so when it comes to it, let's take a look at the easy ones first. So when you were a kid, what was your biggest dream? Everyone had dreams when they were kids. Everyone has hopes now that may very well still be informed by the dreams that they had when they were kids. Yeah. That's an easy one for people to connect over. The same way that everyone's got an opinion on education or whatever else, everyone always went through childhood, and so as a result, everyone's got those hopes and those dreams and those things that they've always carried with them, those little fantasies that may have started off being seeming realistic to them, but then as they grew up became less so, and so as a result, like asking someone about that, sharing yours after if they return the question, or when they're done for comparison, something like that. You know, that's an important kind of question that you can use. It's something that gives you an awful lot of information about who they are and where they come from, but also, more to the point, you're finding out stuff about them that they may not have shared with anyone else, and that's possibly because no one else has ever bothered to ask. You know, it makes you stand out. It makes you kind of useful to them as someone that they can leave information with. You know, and then you just need to make sure that you actually listen to it and remember it. You know, the next one, again, where would they next like to go on holiday? What's their favourite place on the whole world to go? You know, slightly more exciting version of the question there. You know, it's again something that everyone can think about, everyone can engage with, and even if they've had a childhood or they've had a life so far where they've not been able to travel much, where they've not been able to go anywhere, there are still those moments where they can actually go, do you know what? I've not been anywhere, but do you know where I'd really like to go? Yeah, because you've asked them what's their favourite place or where they'd like to go. Like, if money wasn't an option, where would you like to go? In which case, that's opening them up to, again, sharing more stuff with them. And as much as you would like to think that if this is maybe not the first date, but after a couple of dates, you would know whether or not you're feeling good about this relationship or not. You know, especially on a first date, that kind of information. Oh, well, I'd love to go and lounge on the beach, is their answer, and what you're thinking in your head is, well, I'm much more of a kind of skiing holiday kind of guy. You know, that might not add up so well. It just gives you, again, some more information to churn over, and again, just make sure that you're listening and paying attention. The next one it's somewhat more risky, just because it can turn into just work talk, and that can be great for some people, but it can also drag people right down. But again, it doesn't always go that way, but a lot of the time in the modern world, unfortunately, where everyone is part of the rat race to one degree or another, unless they have stubbornly removed themselves from it, it tends to be the case. And that is, like, what's your biggest goal in life right now? What is it that you want to do? Where do you see yourself in like 5 years? Which is the kind of very corporate version of that question. But, you know, keep it informal and asking that. And again, potentially you're seeing that they want to do this specific thing, or they want to go this place, or they want to improve their life in this way, or it turns into work and it's like, yeah, well, I want to be promoted twice by the end of kind of 2 years down the line or something. You know, it gives you an idea of where they're looking, where their focuses are, what they want, and also maybe, you know, if it lines up really well with your own goals, this is a person that you can sync up very well with. Next one is things like pet peeves, and this is where we're looking for emotional connection through the questioning and through the conversation, rather than purely focusing on positive. You can't be afraid of the negative. All relationships have both good and bad in them, positive and negative, and so venturing into these kind of areas can be useful. And so, kind of notice something in the restaurant or in the bar that you're at, or wherever it is that you've gone. I'm assuming here, general stereotypical situation, but then notice something and just be like, do you know what bugs me? That bugs me. Is there any things that bug you, like pet peeves and things? You know, it's allowing the kind of bonding over bitching, which, let's face it, we all do with our friends to one degree or another. Oh, I went in to this meeting. The person wouldn't even shake my hand. It was ridiculous. I felt like just flipping the desk by the end of it. I couldn't take it. And then your friend goes, yeah, do you know what? I had an experience just like that. That's bonding. And that's what you want with a potential romantic partner, a potential long-term or short-term romantic partner. You know, you want that kind of connection. And maybe this is the Brit part of me that's kind of sat around being cynical and complaining a lot whilst keeping a stiff upper lip. But for the most part, we bond just as well over shared negative experiences or complaining about negative experiences as we do over positive ones, as long as our kind of interactions towards one another or with one another are positive. And now, so how many have we gone through so far? So it was favourite place, goal, dreams, and then we've got pet peeves there. Yeah, and then we've got the riskiest one of all, but it's also potentially the one of the most valuable. And that's, so what do you hate most about dating? It's a potentially fun question, especially if you line it up in the right way, which again kind of revolves around you a little bit more. But again, it's one of these questions that everybody has their nightmare dating stories. Everybody has their things that they don't enjoy on dates and stuff like that. And so when you go, well, what do you hate most about this whole dating thing? Not only can you bond over it, not only can you share experiences, not only can you potentially kind of build a new memory of complaining about it together as a fun thing that you did when you first met, but also it tells you what not to do. That person is literally volunteering all of the information that you need to make good judgments and avoid the things that will drive that person away. And you, in turn, are potentially providing them the same information. It can go horribly wrong because obviously if someone doesn't say it in a comedic way but just completely deadpan goes, you know, well, so what do you hate most about dating? I don't know, you right now. Chances are the things aren't going so well, but you know, you in a funny way, you with a smile on their face and all the rest of it, that potentially could just be taken off as a joke, and that's a good thing. That suggests a level of being comfortable with enough with you to take the piss out of you, quite frankly. But again, then that should, in theory, through just the flow of conversation as you throwing that out there, that's a good way to maybe kick things off. Yeah, on the actual then conversation that can span out from that, and that's fun. It's useful to you and them, and potentially leads to something better afterwards. But anyway, those are the 5 questions that I tend to suggest more than others. There are some others as well, like, you know, asking about family or what people were like as kids, things like who, you know, inspirations at school and stuff like that, you know. But asking them to one degree or another to tell you a story based on something. I don't know if you ask them if they've got a nickname or if they ever had one, and then it kind of rolls off, and you ask them to elaborate on why they had that. You know, that you can span those things out as well. But some of those, you know, sometimes nicknames are things that they don't want to remember. Sometimes school or family life was particularly hard for them, and that's not something that they always want to go back to, and that could be hard on a first date especially to tackle. So things that are general, like where are you going, because they've not gone there yet, so they've got no memories, no associations with it. It's literally where are you going, be it on holiday, be it in life, you know, stuff like that, or bonding over the funny bad stuff. So pet peeves and what people hate about dating and stuff like that. You know, it gives you an element that you can bond over without having to worry about it potentially dredging up too much bad stuff, because you're not talking about relationships, you're talking about dating specifically. You know, and that is arguably one of the tough parts of relationships in general, but it's also the part that's least serious. Which means that even if that relationship that they start talking about turns out to be really bad, you know, in the long story turns out to have been a really bad relationship for them, you're focusing on the part that was probably either not that bad or probably just easy for them to pick out the bad bits and the good bits from. So, you know, there you go. Anyway, down in the comments, let me know what other questions would you ask on a first date, things like that. And I'm not talking about pickup lines, because pickup lines are a bit weird anyway. But assuming you've kind of hit it off with this person, you've gone out together, what other questions would you ask just to get to know that person more, to kind of prevent the awkward silences and things like that? You know, let me know. because as I've said in other videos, there are bound to be other people who are looking for more than just what I've said. And if you've got other solutions, if you've got other things that you'd ask, other things that you'd do, other things that you'd say, leave them there to help someone else. Yeah? But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.